MCL, the word in your home.
Good morning, everybody, and we welcome you to our breakfast program on TV, Good Morning, Abia, coming to you live from our studios here in Abia State. And of course, I have Stella Okechukwu with me this morning. Stella, good morning. It's nice to have you on the breakfast program. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. It's my pleasure to be here with you this morning. And of course, thank you, Abians, for joining us on today's edition of Good Morning, Abia. It's a one-stop breakfast show on MCLtv where we educate, inform, and entertain you with happenings around you. And it promises to be good, so we urge you to sit glued to your television set.
Promises to be good, and so stick with us for the next 2 hours. We'll be telling you all that is making rounds in Abia State and also taking you outside the shores of this country. And of course, our discussion this morning is going to be on the state of the nation. And of course, the state of the nation this morning, taking a look at coming directly first on our doorstep. It's the suspension of 3 cycles from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m.
And of course, from that we'll be moving a bit to the signing of the new national minimum wage by President Muhammad Buhari that have generated so many reactions, ranging from people saying that some state governors have not been able to pay the 18,000 naira. Would they also be able to pay the one of 30,000 naira? And of course, yesterday the Enugu state government came out to say that they are ready to pay the 30,000 naira. What happens to other states that won't be able to
I think this? I think if you ask me sincerely, the state's governors need to find a lasting solution to these, because if you ask me 13,000 naira, there are 30,000 naira. The question is, what can 30,000 naira do? But we understand it's not easy. The state government also needs to meet up with infrastructure in different states, and so some state governors are complaining. And of course, the chairman of the Governor's Forum, talking about Abdulaziz Yari, said it point blank that, look, I don't think some of my colleagues and I can meet up paying the 30,000 naira. Anyway, not to let the cat out of the bag, this is going to be a discussion for this
one. And of course, don't also forget, still talking about the state of the nation, we'll also be taking a look at the insecurity. And of course, the IGP has been summoned. You know what happened during the tenure of the past administration of the last
dispensation, I mean.
No, the last IGP. You know, he was summoned when the issue of insecurity, also heated up. He didn't actually, want to, get to the Senate to actually explain to them strategies on how the police are trying to, curb the rate of insecurity. So let's just see if the new IGP Mohammed Adamu will actually, answer the call of the Senate.
All right, of course, these and many more is going to be our discussion for this morning. So we ask you to stay glued with us and make sure that you would also call in to contribute what you think is the way forward. But Stella, yesterday, something I has been one person that has been clamoring for it. Yesterday, I noticed that the drum festival took place in Abia yesterday. What a festival! I mean, we need to showcase our heritage, our black heritage, and it's a good one coming from the from Abia yesterday, talking about the Ogun State government when the drum festival. Stella, it is something to behold. I saw talking drums. I saw African Nigerians trying to pass our culture, our heritage to the world. Because if you want to put it in the sense of it, you'll discover that we're being is it modernized or westernized? And we no longer hold back our own culture. What we do is to buy the white man's culture. I'm not against that. I'm not saying civilization shouldn't hold. But we also need to sell our own culture to the foreign world. And I think yesterday it's something to behold. And I also want to advise other states, governors, and the states to also try and see what can you sell to the people? What culture do you have to sell to the people? Stella, believe me, was a beauty to behold.
Yeah, it was a beauty, just like it's been done in Calabar. And of course, what we need to do is just for us to also keep talking about it until we begin to have such thing here in Abia State.
Yeah, you're from here, and I'm going to put you on the line this morning. And I know you don't like most times when I put you on the line, we go backstage and you say, "What did you do there?" I just want to put you on the line. If we need to sell the Abian culture, the black heritage of Abia, what are we selling? Is it the Abiba wall dance, or what are we selling? What do you think we should be selling to the people to say, "This is our culture, this is what we stand for, and this is what we're known for"?
The Abreba, war dance culture is also a good one. And of course, I don't know if I'll begin to talk about masquerade here. We don't actually have a unique one, just like Anambra has, okay? But I
thought you guys have Wumtam and the rest. And don't they exist anymore? You see, Christianity also, with all due respect to the religion, I think our religion also has affected our culture. You find that the religion tells you can't do this, is a sin. But if you go back to the Bible, there are also some cultures that the Romans still practice. That's in the Bible. It's their culture, and we have also borrowed some of the cultures, putting it in our day-to-day life, living our own culture. And of course, the next thing you hear is the culture is fetish. The culture is this. And I don't feel very comfortable. I'm a black man, and I'm proud to be a black man, and I have my own culture.
Yeah, just like you said, I was coming to that. Christianity has actually come out to play a big role in, of bringing our culture to where it is today. I'm talking about Abia State because I know some other, states still practice their culture. Take it to the world where people come, book hotels and all that, just to get a glimpse of what their culture is all about. So I think here in Abia State, religious has also contributed a huge to actually take the culture where it is right now. So I think we need to start, practicing our culture, promoting our culture, making people, just like it's been done in Calabar, where people come to Abia State and say, "I like witnessing such thing in Abia State." We're not saying that if your religion is against it or something, you can't stay behind. But there are people, you don't just come to people and tell them that you need not to do this. You need not to convince people so that we won't drag our culture to the mud.
All right, we won't drag our culture to the mud. That's coming from Stella Okechukwu. But quickly, what we do on this program, first and foremost, is to spur you to be a better person. And of course, the words of Marble this morning, to spur us as better person and to be a better person, comes up with these.
To get rich, never risk your health, for it is the truth that health is the wealth of wealth. And of course, let me take it again. To get rich and never risk your health, for it is the truth that health is the wealth of wealth.
All right, and that's coming from Richard Baker, and of course it's saying that, look, whatever you do, health is wealth. Stella, quickly, I think that could also go to what we do every blessed day. We spend so much money in fixing up the cars. You need to wash your car. You need to service your car. You need to change the oil. And while changing the oil, you need to change the oil filter. You need to check the tires. And the question is, even you, as the human, do you service yourself? When was the last time you visited the hospital? When was the last time
to go do proper checkup?
Proper checkup. When was the last time you checked the eyes? These are things that work.
Level.
When was the last time you checked your cholesterol level? When was the last time you had a blood test to find out if you're diabetic? When was the last time you had a massage on your leg and the rest? But you see, we spend so much time servicing other stuff, not knowing that our health is wealth and our health is first. All right, that's the words of mother for you this morning to say that, look, if you're healthy, then you're healthy. So if you're healthy, then you're wealthy. And so that is the takeaway from us this morning. Before we quickly take you to what is making rounds in Abia State and outside the shores of this country, Stella Okechukwu will be doing that.
All right, the Abia State Governor Dr. Okeze Ikpeazu has approved the immediate dissolution of the boards of the Abia State University Teaching Hospital Absolute and Hospital Management Board HMB. The Chief Press Secretary to the Governor in Apollos, in a statement release, commended the members of the two boards for their contributions to the state health sector. Governor Ikpeazu extended his appreciation to the members of the two boards for their contributions to the state health sector and wished them well in their future endeavors. The Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Aldo Obe, says the federal government is committed to making the country an agriculture hub. Obe said this while declaring open the 43rd National Council on Agriculture and Rural Development taking place in Omaha. Nora Okafo tells us more.
The theme of the 43rd edition of the National Council on Agriculture is consolidating the strategies of agricultural promotion policy for economic diversification and growth. Agriculture and Rural Development Minister Audobe said the federal government has resolved to increase agricultural productivity and reduce food importation. Obe, represented by Dr. Mohammed Bello, said the present administration will continue to implement policies and programs aimed at promoting food safety and security. He spoke of the importance of the agriculture sector, considering its contribution to food production and overall development of the nation's economy.
Agriculture is certainly one of the most significant sectors of the country. It will not only be millions of people. As such, the focus of the council meeting is to provide policy direction that will improve the enabling environment for investors and strengthen the development of the sector, attain security, and sustain livelihood.
Governor Okeze Ikpeazu described the theme of the event as apt, considering the emphasis the federal government places on attainment of food security, job creation, and national productivity. The governor was represented by his deputy, Okechukwu.
As you mutually and convivially interact and consult with one another, brainstorm and cross-fertilize ideas on the thematic areas, it is that the outcome will help and strengthen the 36 states of Nigeria and the Federal Capital Territory in their effort to fashion out and consolidate strategies towards the attainment of the noble objective of agricultural promotion for economic diversification and growth.
The Minister of Water Resources, Suleiman Adamu, Minister of State for Agriculture, Heineken Lobobiri, and Senator Theodore Orji attended the opening ceremony. They said the federal government will focus on utilizing agribusiness to improve the socio-economic development of the country. The event attracted stakeholders in the sector, including Mr. Sufan Koroma, country representative of Food and Agricultural Organization and United Nations in Nigeria. Laura Okafor, MCL News.
The Osisioma local government has served street traders along Enugu-Port Harcourt Expressway with notice to immediately evacuate the highway. The local government authorities said that the action is borne out of the desire to discourage trading along the highway with its inherent adverse effects. Against this backdrop, MCL News went to the area to feel the pulse of the affected traders and other residents of the area. The report.
Why we decided to do the park of the modern park where we have a lot of space. And the same day, the current constitution chairman, Honorable Victor Woku, came on and said, no, that thing needs to continue. And that these people are at a very high risk staying there. So in his magnanimity, he has provided the new park. Someone who are modern park. There's a lot of space there for them to go and do their business comfortably. They are not being chased to go home and stay because we know that some of them here and everybody here has one way or the other also is contributing to the upkeep of the family. The Kotekbene Road links Abia State and neighboring Akwa Ibom in south geopolitical zone of the country. The road is one of the arteries into Abia and it links the main town with the Obohio area. In this report, Chimeze Ozens takes a look at traffic gridlock on the important road. The report.
Obo Hill is one of the densely populated areas on the outskirts of Abia. Every day, thousands of people from the Obo Hill area ply this road to and from work or business. It is also the gateway for people from some states in the south-south zone of the country into the commercial city. It is therefore not surprising that the traffic jam has become a perennial problem on this road due to heavy traffic. Living in Obo Hill has become a nightmare for most of the residents owing to traffic jam on Ekotekbene Road. It occurs mainly during the morning and evening rush hours. During the morning or evening on weekdays, movement in and out of Obohe comes to a standstill, especially when schools are in session. The epicenters are usually Ukebu Road Junction and close to the Abia River Bridge. Several man-hours are lost while commercial motorists and tricycle drivers take advantage of the situation to hike transport fare. As a result of the gridlock, accidents usually occur on the road, especially close to the bridge. Most of the accidents that involve articulated vehicles result in loss of lives. However, the spate of accidents has been reduced as a result of measures taken by the Abia State Traffic Indiscipline Management Agency. The agency barred motorists from making U-turn at Omoba Road Junction. The construction of Emelo Gungwa Road by the Joseph Kala administration was aimed at decongesting the Ikotepeni Road. The road and the bridge that connects the two roads at Abia River collapsed few months after construction. Though the bridge was reconstructed, but the road has remained in a poor state for many years. The present administration embarked on the reconstruction and expansion of the road about 2 years ago. The project has been stalled and the condition of Ungwa Road has worsened. At the time of this report, the portion of the road from the Goodmorning Market to East Street is completely impassable. In fact, weed is now growing on the fair portions of the road. Another source of concern is the state of the bridge that connects Obo Hill and the main town at the Abia River. Mr. Ike Nananaba is a civil engineer. He expressed worry that integrity tests has not been conducted on both bridges since they were constructed several years ago. An integrity test is a periodic test conducted in traffic infrastructure like buildings and bridges to ascertain the actual maintenance they deserve. Motorists and other road users that apply Emelo Gungwa Road should also be worried about the state of the bridge. A motorist who declined to speak on camera described the bridge as an accident waiting to happen. A pothole that has continued to expand has developed on both sides of the bridge. It becomes unsafe to ply the road at night. The solution to traffic congestion on the Ikotepeni Road is for the state government to conclude the rehabilitation of Emelo Gungwa Road. Chimezie Ozems, MCL News.
Despite efforts by government at all levels and the international community, malaria still kills no fewer than 81,640 Nigerians and infects 52.7 million yearly. Besides, the country loses 450 billion naira annually to interventions and treatments. Moreover, $1.12 billion was the needed financial outlay for procurement of intervention commodities to tackle the menace between 2018 and 2020. The National Coordinator of National Malaria Elimination Program, NMEP, Dr. Audu Bala Mohammed, said currently it is estimated that about 53.7 million cases of malaria occur in Nigeria. Due to financial incapacity, the NMEP boss admitted that intervention had not been on any significant scale in 13 states of the Federation, adding that government and development partners had only made about 50% of the required 403.2 trillion naira in the last 18 months. Consequently, Mohammed said government had approached some lending institutions, including the World Bank, African Development Bank, and the Islamic Development Bank, to raise some financial instruments to address the gaps in some of the identified states, hopefully in the third quarter. He noted that there were also challenges of accessing some places due to sectarian crises and difficult terrains. Mohammed also disclosed that there were issues with misuse, non-use or abuse of some of the intervention commodities. The National Examination Committee (NEC) of the West African Examination Council (WAEC) has approved sanctions for all candidates and centers that were involved in malpractice. This was made known at the two-day 67th meeting of the committee held in Lagos. NEC okayed punishment for candidates already slammed with cancellation of entire results and cancellation of subject results. WAEC Head of Public Affairs Demianu Sojijioko, in a statement, said erring candidates will be barred from sitting for examinations for a certain number of years, and added that affected candidates and examination centers were duly informed. The spokesman said the committee received the report on the statistics of entries and results for the WASI for school candidates 2018, and also received and considered the general resume of the chief examiner's report on the WASI for private candidate 2018 second series. That's what you can take on today's news segment. You're still watching Good Morning Abia, your one-stop breakfast show on MCLtv. We'll go for a break. When we come back, it will be time for us to go through the national dailies. To stay with us.
One-stop breakfast show on TV.
Do not deface Abia State with posters. Do not defecate on our streets. Do not litter Abia State.
My brothers, I say, what did man go do for this world where people no go talk? If you chop,
Do not urinate in public places.
you no chop, then go talk. What did make we do for this world? I say, make we dey do the things where we carry for heart. Now so world want that. I be not been so.
Keep Abia State clean. This message is brought to you by MCLtv.
Good morning, Abia. Your one-stop breakfast show on TV.
You're my hopes, my dreams, everything. You my sweet babe. Oh, yeah. I wake up in a cold sweat. Why? Because I haven't seen you yet. I normally see you in my dreams. I thought I heard you speak. Waiting for the day to end. I'll be staring at you 8 by 10. And as I lay me down to sleep, starts over again, yeah. Do you know I spend all day, all night, thinking about you, dreaming about you. Do you know I spend most of my time wishing for you?
Good morning, Abia. Your one-stop breakfast show on TV.
You're welcome back, and if you're still onto the program. This is still Good Morning Abia, your breakfast program on TV, and of course it's time for us to take a look at the papers. This morning we have 3 papers on our decks, and I still have Stella Okechukwu here with me. Starting with the Daily Sun, the Saturday Sun. At the top corner of the paper comes up with 2019 polls. Abia makes 3.1 billion naira from sale of homes. And of course, the national chairman films over fraud allegation. That could be found on page 11 of the paper. And quickly, the bold headline from the paper this morning is Southwest won't succeed Buhari in 2023. And mighty Allah, Arawa youths declare it is too early to rule any region out, and that is coming from ACF. No group can stop Asiwanjo from contesting presidency, Tinubu's associates. And of course, already the jostling for the 2023. The first person talking about the man that would lead us to the next level, if you ask me, and a lot of people are beginning to give their reaction. And at the left corner of the paper, still as minister, women openly offered me sex, and that is coming from General Chris Moma, saying, as minister, women openly offered me sex. And of course, underneath that, it is the Northern Elders one. Agitation for power rotation can harm Nigerians, says rotational presidency divisive. And of course, quickly, let's take you to Imo State. From the front page of the paper, it comes up with Imo Okorocha facing wrath of God as Catholic priest. Says Okorocha is actually facing the wrath of God, and of course that could be found on page 10 of the paper. You are a political cleric, Governor replies. And quickly, let's take you to the back page of the Saturday Sun, and of course the first point of call this morning is coming from Mike Awoyifa, and of course the calls there is in this column, the press clip, and it says, when your name inspires pop song, talking about my papa no be Dangote, neither is my father Adenuga. And of course this morning Mike Awoyifa is saying, when your name inspires pop songs. All right, Stella, it's up to you.
And of course, to the Nation newspaper this morning, at the top left of Nation newspaper, it says 2 police escorts killed as gunmen kidnap shell workers in Rivers. It's a sad one. And the write-up says hoodlums attack passenger bus, gone down 2 as vigilance groups killed 5 suspected cultists. Read up the story on page 5 of the Nation. Closer to that budget pardon, Igbo youths comment Tinubu caution leaders against divisive comments. Go to page 40 and read up the story. Anambra APC leaders to Abga and PDP prepare for war in 2021. Anambra APC leaders to Abga and PDP prepare for war in 2021. And that story you can get on page 40 of the Nation. The boldly written headline that says 9th Senate, PDP plus Goje Ekweremadu ticket. The write-up, Ndume Ekweremadu, Adamu Ekweremadu ticket also on the card. Negotiation heightens in camps. No cause for alarm, says Lawal's camp. Read up the story on page 2 of the Nation newspaper. The picture elements, President Muhammad Buhari and Lagos State Governor Kinwumi Ambode and Engineer Biodun Otunola, MD of Planet Projects Limited, the firm building the Oshodi Transport Interchange, which was one of the projects commissioned by the President in Lagos on Wednesday. And the next feature element there, Mrs. Abike Dabiri Erewa, Presidential Aid on Diaspora. The write-up following that feature element says 9 Nigerians arrested in US for alleged multi-million-dollar fraud face 20 years imprisonment each. Read up the story on page 5. Underneath the picture element of President Muhammad Buhari and Governor Lagos State Akinwumi Ambode, it says killings, declare state of emergency in troubled states. Ohanese youths, Clark tell federal government, declare state of emergency in troubled state. Ohanese youths and Clark tell federal government. Arewa youth to Buhari, sack service chiefs now. Let troops continue to pound bandits, says ACF. And PDP Chair Secondus attacks Buhari over insecurity as president to seek quality advice. All these you can get on page 4 of the Nation. We'll move straight up to the back page there. So Shegun Ayobule on eliminations. It says Liam Mohammed, Modibo Kawu, Dele Aleki, and of course the Pinnacle Conundrum. Read up what that headline is actually talking about at the back page of the Nation newspaper. And that does it with the Nation newspaper this morning.
And of course, the last paper on our desk this morning is the Saturday Telegraph. At the top left corner of the paper comes up with speakership. Dogara silent worries loyalists. Dogara silent worries loyalists. Speaker may endorse candidate next week, and that can be found on page 4. And of course, the picture of Bajamila and the current speaker there. And of course, at the right top corner of the paper comes up with the 9th NAS leadership. Southeast APC members meet today. May rejects zoning, and of course that can be found on page 5 of the papers. And quickly, let's take you to the bold headlines of the paper this morning. Is on security. Gunmen killed 4, kidnapped 30 passengers in Rivers. And of course, Air Rufai imposes 24 hours curfew in Kajuru, Chinku local government as tension mounts. Soldiers rescue businessman, retired nurse from kidnappers in Abia. And of course, that could be found on page 7, page 9, and page 45 of the papers. And of course, still on the front page of the papers is driver from hell. I killed my boss for sacking me. Lagos converts 20 on death row life sentence. I killed my boss from sacking me. All right, Lagos converts 20 on death row to life sentence. That can be found on page 7 and page 8 of the paper. And Buhari donates 0.5 million naira for Guinea-Bissau election. Sorry, I take that again. Buhari donates $5.5 million to Guinea-Bissau elections. And of course, that could be found on page 46 of the paper. And of course, if you want the smiling face, think no longer, because that is the face of the goddess of the screen. I'm talking about Grace Ama. I have not given up on love. And that can be found on page 13 of the paper. And underneath that, you get airport drug cartels victims dead. Save mild daughter from execution in Saudi Arabia. And of course, Buhari meets, assures victims dead, and federal government set up committee to secure girls' release. Saudi Arabia keeps mum. And that can be found on page 3 of the paper. But it's time for us to also see what is at the back page of the Saturday Telegraph. And of course, if you're wondering what the sign is all about, is to tell you there's going to be a clash of the Titans today as decision time for Ole and Sarri. Rashford, Hazard, shoulder teams hope. And of course, if you need to keep abreast with these sporting activities, I say you hook up with Jonah Oja this morning when you'll be taking a look at Sports Digest, where this is also going to form a part of the discussion. Stella, I heard you when you said, because I know you're a Chelsea fan, and it is Clash of the Titans. Believe me, it hasn't been good. I got something from your Facebook, a notification when you posted and you were asking the Man U fan how markets. I hope that doesn't come to bite you because believe me, the Man U is going to put up something today, because you and I know what happened when they played Everton and they lost at 4-0, and also when they played the noisy neighbors, they call them the Man City, and of course, believe me, it was noisy in Old Trafford. And you and I know what the outline was. The outcome of that match was 2.
You're indirectly saying that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's team are going to be ready today.
Oh, well, definitely, yes. Be rest assured for fireworks. I can't wait to see that, Stella. And I pray that your team comes out successful, because if not, somebody's going to copy and paste the same thing and say, Stella, how market. All right. For time's sake, let us quickly get your opinion. If there's any of the topic that catches your fancy, please do call us with the numbers on the TV screen and tell us what you think about your opinion. And because this morning we'll be taking a look at the state of the nation. We told you that earlier, where we'll be discussing the trade cycle not applying the road from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. And also we'll be telling you the 30,000 naira minimum wage. As Nigerians hope that May 1st workers will be smiling to the bank and this time not 18,000 naira but 30,000 naira. What's your take? Because most state governors are complaining still.
Yeah, I'm talking about state governors that are complaining. Just like I said when we actually started the program, that Enugu state governor has actually come out to say that they are ready to pay the 30,000 naira minimum. So I think other states also need to come up to tell us that they are ready to pay up the backlog of salaries, you know, emanated from the 18,000 naira, during the 18,000 naira,
so
and now telling us that they are now ready to pay off the 30,000 naira minimum wage. So that is what we should be hearing, just like we heard from Enugu state government yesterday.
All right, and hopefully that all the governors in the southeast, including our state, Abia state, would also key in and pay the 30,000 naira.
After clearing the backlog of salary.
Of course, it's very important. Are you going to take back workers' salary because you're paying 30,000? So you know what, old things has passed away and all has become new.
It's not going to clear out this time around.
So the backlog must be paid.
Yeah.
But let us be very sincere. I know that our guest, the sniffer, they call him, Uche Emeku, is already in the studio, and of course at the right time he'll be here also to give us his political input. And of course he's an accountant by profession, and so coming from the banking world, I'm very sure that he knows the right words to give to us this morning on how states should survive and to do. But Stella, come to think of it, why can't state governors pay workers? Have you ever had a serious thought about it?
I did a report on that. So the people that interviewed actually said, because it's not going to be my opinion this time around, I need to get from the workers, and of course some of, just like you said, Uche Emeku being in the banking, was some other that can also do the calculations very well and tell us, state governors, they have the resources to pay. But what do they do with the money? If you think that the IGR is not enough, we have oil producing state for crying out loud. And of course, people are now saying that the state governors need to generate fund, need to do for a means to generate fund and pay up the salaries. What happens to other states? Are they better off some other states that have not been able to be paying their workers?
I just really want to take a look, and I'm talking about holistic look about the 30,000 naira minimum wage.
It's nothing, Michael. It's nothing.
Why governors can pay. The first thought that ran through my mind is that you get money from the center, you get allocation quarterly.
What do you do with it?
That is one. Two, you also need to generate money internally. I remember, and I kept saying it, I know a lot of people want to throw my assumption or my words to say, you're talking about Lagos. Lagos is a mega city. Yes, Lagos is a mega city. But I tell you that Lagos State ran under Tinubu's administration for 7 years without taking money from the center. Because there was a point in time that Tinubu increased the local government in Lagos State, and the then President Olusegun Obasanjo was not comfortable with it. So there was an option: go back to your normal local government or you don't get allocation. And Tinubu stood to his words and never went back. And Tinubu ran Lagos, and he invited some few guys, seven of them, of course, Ambode was part of that, and of course there were Christian named the seven wise men. And they were able, even the former minister Adeosu was part of the seven wise men. Funny enough, even the vice president was part of the seven wise men that ran Lagos without asking for money from the center. And the question is, what happens? Why can't states begin to look on how to generate money? What happens if the federal government decides not to give money? So some states will be colonized by other states. That's what it means. Anambra is doing quite well in terms of infrastructure, in terms of payment.
And they still pay their workers.
And they still pay the workers.
But what's the magic behind it?
What's the magic? And so that's the reason why people should learn. You see, the truth about life is, Stella, you don't know it all. You don't know it all. I don't know it all. And so if I see a formula working for you, I should be able to ask a question to say, can I get the formula? The bottom line, it is not who gave me the formula. It is how my people enjoys the formula. I remember when I was doing a documentary for the state government, and then the Ebonyi State governor Umwai was in Umwai, the Ebonyi State governor, was in Umwai, and of course he saw the transformation in agriculture in the state, headed by Honorable Uzo Azubike, and of course mushroom produced in the room when it was not the season of mushroom. He was shocked to his marrow. He wanted to find out what was the secret behind it, and of course, believe me, there and there, the governor promised he was going to send the commissioner for agriculture to Ebonyi State, and Ebonyi started doing it. You see, it's not about where you got the magic formula from. It's about what your the benefits of your people. So I think some states governors need to find out what is the magic formula that you can survive.
Yeah, I think I also agree with what you're saying. That is, if the governors will actually, key into what we actually say, but we keep talking about it. We can't stop talking about it until it is done and until it is achieved.
All right, we can't stop talking about it until it's done and until it's achieved. We go for break, and when we come back, of course, we'll have a guest here, Uche Emeku, and we'll be taking a look at the state of the nation. Please stay tuned and go nowhere.
Good morning, Abia, your one-stop breakfast show on TV.
Do not deface Abia State with posters. Do not defecate on our streets. Do not litter Abia State.
My brothers, I say, what did man go do for this world where people no go talk? If you chop,
Do not urinate in public places.
you no chop, then go talk. What did make we do for this world? I say, make we dey do the things where we carry for heart. Now so world want that. I be not been so.
Keep Abia State clean. This message is brought to you by MCLtv.
Good morning, Abia, your one-stop breakfast show on TV. one-stop breakfast show on TV. Good morning, Abia, your one-stop breakfast show on TV.
MCLtv Aba na-eweta ihe omume ọgbakọ ụmụaka pụrụ iche akpọrọ nnọkọ ụmụaka nke ha na Chimere Chigbu na-anọkọ. Sonyere anyị na ihe omume a dịka ụmụaka ga-egosipụta nke ha ji biri n'ịsụ asụsụ Igbo. A na-agbasa ihe omume a na MCLtv Channel 1 kwa ụbọchị Satọde niile malite n'elekere anyị 11 ruo elekere anyị 12 nke ehihie. A ga-egosigharị ya ọzọ n'ụbọchị Mọnde niile n'elekere anyị 4 nke uhuruchi. Nnọkọ ụmụaka, olu ụmụaka maka ọdịmma asụsụ Igbo.
Do not deface Abia State with posters. Do not defecate on our streets. Do not litter Abia State.
My brothers, I say wetin man go do for this world where people no go talk. If you chop,
Do not urinate in public places.
you no chop, dem go talk. Wetin make we do for this world? I say make we dey do the things wey we carry for heart. Na so world want am. Abi no be so?
Keep Abia State clean. This message is brought to you by MCLtv.
Goodmorning, Abia, your one-stop breakfast show on TV. Goodmorning, Abia, your one-stop breakfast show on TV.
Okay, you're welcome back, and if you're just joining us, this is still Good Morning Abia, your breakfast program on TV, and of course it's time for us to talk. This morning we'll be taking a look at all that is happening around the state, and of course also taking a look at what is happening from our home front, and that is Abia State. And of course I have a regular face on this program, a human rights activist, a political analyst, a banker. It's no other person than Uche Emeko, known as the Sniffer. Uche, good morning. It's nice to have you this morning on the breakfast program.
Yeah, my good morning, and good morning, Abians.
Well, I like the smile on your face. It says, it speaks volume. It shows that there's nothing negative happening on the streets.
Well, sometimes you need to put up, a make-believe face so that you go on. Because if you actually allow this to come down.
When you say a make-believe face, so
yes.
Are you trying to say that the smile on this face is just a make-believe?
Yes, sometimes you need to do that so that you don't get these things accumulating in your heart, and at the end of the day, the burden goes on with you. So sometimes you look at the things and begin to laugh at even the things you're not supposed to laugh at.
Well, you're welcome to the program, and of course this morning we'll be taking a look at the state of the nation. But let's just start with the home front, because they say charity begins at home. You and I know that for the past 1 week, the restriction of tricycle operators to operate on our roads from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Of course, reasons given that some of the robbery, some of the kidnapping perpetrated by people is coming from the use of tricycle. When you heard the news that tricycle has been suspended, as a human rights activist, what ran through your mind?
Yes, actually I wasn't happy, and I think in the Igbo program I had to say something concerning that, because one thing is that it seems as if we can't really get our priorities right. We can't think through our laws and also the policies we make and the principles of life. Because over time, I think this is either the 6th time since 2007 that we have had a situation of banning and unbanning, right from the days of Okada now to the issue of Keke. And some measures have also been put in place to check some of these things. It appears that we don't really sit down to think through before we act. It appears that we act before we think and then speak. And in fact, I look at it also from the point of political gimmicks, especially when the election is coming very close. You try to do some of those things which you know that you are supposed to do, but because you want to bribe the people, you now say, okay, Keke can run anytime, and immediately after the election, you come back to say, no, you don't want to, want them going on again.
I mean, you can still hold on to your thought,
yes.
But I just want you to put this across as well, because it's very important that we understand the reasons why. I know the chairman, Eugene Obi, was here with Stella Mondo on the program. Of course, he gave his own candid opinion why he think the state government acted the way they did. But I just want to get your point. If the security operators believe that, look, for us to get it right, we need to stop the tricycle at this moment.
Yes.
Do you think it is wrong?
What the security operatives needs to do is to give us the statistics so that we can look at that. Now you tell us when you banned it, what was happening and what was your reasoning from banning it.
Yeah, because,
and again,
because a lot has happened, and at the end of the day, it's the tricycle operators.
Good. Then you need to, when we look at the statistics, we need to investigate it and really interrogate the statistics that you have given. And then we will now bring your action as a security officer. We will bring your action into play to see what are your men doing on the ground. Are they also, conniving with some of these criminals? Because why I'm saying that is that most times, or in fact, when you go to the prison yards, or even the police cells, or even in the court, you will see that there are some policemen who are in the court battling, to be freed from suspected criminal activities, which includes armed robbery, which includes kidnapping, which include even some form of terrorism. And so you cannot, just come out to levy it on, on a particular section of the the populace to say because you are doing this, because you are doing this, when you have not actually done a self-assessment, actual self-assessment that is very that gives a true picture of what is happening. And in this case, I think what you need to do there is that when there is, when you want to make some of these policy statements, and you are trying to, engage the security personnel, the human rights community should also come in. Some critical stakeholders should also come in so that everyone will talk the truth before each other. And then you now come out with a robust policy that every other person will believe in.
If you're trying to probe this, or if you think that this should be the procedure, don't you think that sometimes you need to take decisions immediately to get the best of it? Because if you go through this procedure, it's possible they're trying to get stakeholders, and there might be deliberation that might not yield to the final decision. And of course, a lot of damage is going on, and of course, and that's the reason why the state government decided to react quickly, swift reaction, if you ask me. Yes. But I just want to ask you a question. For everything, there's a price to be paid. Yes. Don't you think if taking the 3 cycle, restricting them to run from 7 p.m. and that brings us to less killing, less kidnapping, don't you think it's a good price to be paid?
It's not a good price to be paid. Let me tell you. You see, the other day when people in tricycle had to rob around the Cock Market or whatever they call it, around the Enhi Road, they had a free time. For more than 2 hours, they were roving the whole town. It was in the broad daylight. And then what you will ask yourself, if these people could have the temerity to come out in the broad daylight to do this thing, and they were not accosted, they were not apprehended, even right as they were doing that thing, because look at that place, look at the Cameroon barracks, look at area command, look at CPS, look at Obo Hill there, look at Ezekiel Market Police Station. When you see this type of thing, did you alert so that these people could now cordon off the area or circle that area? So the issue is not about banning them by 7. Now, if you still want to go forward, why not ban them also in the daytime? Let us know that you have taken a measure which we will now come back to explain to the people. And I want to tell you, when you are, taking certain decisions concerning the welfare of people, you should also understand that you are hurting certain group of persons that is not part of the criminal, gangsterism. And so what you look at there is that before you take that measure, you need to gather the people around. And in fact, you don't even need to wait until there is a breakdown of law and order for you to do certain things. You take a proactive measure so that when you come out with your policy, everybody will agree that this policy is okay. Now, I give you an example. When you look at the traffic setup, especially with the keke drivers on the major street, you find out even the way they drive their keke is a suspect of its own. And so you begin from there, apprehending these guys, taking them to court, not taking money from them, finding them if there is any need to find. And then the money goes straight into the state government coffers, not in the pocket of those apprehending, doing the job.
I'm going to interrupt you.
Yes.
But I want to use the illustration that you gave.
Yes.
That in midday you see these atrocities being committed. Let's just take it the other way around. If these atrocities could be committed midday, and of course nobody is reacting to it, nobody is trying to get the guys like you quoted, and what happens? Don't you think it would be worse to have them operate in the night? If they could do this midday and nothing happens, then in the night it's going to be worse.
Then what you
need to... Don't you think that the government would have done a visibility study, and the security operatives also would have looked at it and said, look, even these guys are man enough to do this in the morning, in the afternoon, broad daylight, where Abians are still awake and everybody is active. What happens in the night?
Yes. I think if they still want to go that way, what they should do is to ban ban keke totality, even in the daytime.
If you ban keke entirety, you'll be throwing a lot of people out of
Of course, that is just now. Let me tell you now. Like in the evening, there are certain persons that will come back from work and then use the keke to augment their salaries, especially these days where you don't even know when your salary will come in. And so you remember you also hurting those group of people.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a price for everything.
There is a price, but the price should not be.
If we're all paying these for us to get sanity.
If you want to get victory, and your victory is of a pyrrhic nature, then that victory is useless. It's not worth it. But what you need to do is, as a government, you need to play your role very well. That everybody will see that you have played your role, and that what remains is for the people to toe in. But if the government itself is also a suspect in what is happening, a suspect in the sense that you don't know when you get your salary, you don't know what happens the next minute, and you are left at the state of nature. I mean, just to put it mildly, you are left at the mercy of a state of nature. Then there is something that the government is not doing very well. Let me tell you, when you bring welfare, when you are a government that is people-oriented, that sees to it that every other person, at least to the best of your ability, gets what they are supposed to get, you find out that the level of criminality will reduce. And even if there is, why it is going to be reduced is that if I am getting what I'm supposed to get, and then my neighbor is a criminal, and when I report him, I am not going to be reported back to the criminal to deal with me. You see, some of the, I mean, it will work.
Okay, for time's sake, and because we're taking a look at the state of the nation, and of course, a lot to talk about, and of course, still have Uche Meku. Uche Meku is a political analyst, a human rights activist, a banker. The list can go on and on and on. All right, I just want you to give me a final take on these.
Yes.
How do you think that the state governments and those in charge of trade cycles could checkmate the members? Because it's not just the main numbers on trade cycle. If you could have footage of trade cycles on the streets of Abia, I'm talking about Abia and Umaya, that would be very great. They have numbers which they call security numbers.
Yes.
Which you and I know that that's not security. That's not how to checkmate. Because I could get a trade cycle, for all you care, I could put up any number and I could still perpetuate whatever evil I need to perpetuate. Apart from the number, if you were to advise, what would be the best advice to checkmate trade cycles?
Yeah, let me first start from the numbers. Mm-hmm. You have the numbers at the back of the keke. Mm-hmm. Inside the keke itself, the demarcation between the driver and those sitting, there is also a number. And the number at the back is paid for. The number at the center is paid for differently. You don't.
I've not taken note of numbers.
I am, yes. Now, if.
Is there a number, please, if you can get the footage of trade cycles while we talk, that would be great. Is there a number in between the operator?
Of course, yes. Yes, I saw it. In fact, the other time when I finished the program here,
you were forced to go and check.
No, yes, I went into also take a look at the makeup of the keke, so that when I am saying anything, I know that I am saying the truth. So I saw the number. So yes, between the driver, there is a number written boldly inside the keke.
Where is it written? Underneath?
No, just on that, the demarcation, on top of the demarcation, just by the right, this way. There is a number outside the one, so that even if you didn't see the one at the back, you will see the one at the center. But the problem there...
Are the two numbers the same?
The two numbers are the same.
Okay.
And they are paid for differently. They were paid for differently. I had a reason to interrogate two or three of the drivers to find out, and in fact, two of them almost cried for the kind of extortion that they are facing concerning some of these things. Now look at the thing. The issue is this: the number is there. Is the headquarters? Do they have the number of those keke, so that if you have any issue with any keke and you report there, they will quickly run through their computer and then see the name and address, and then try to find out who owns that keke. And if the owner of the keke did not report of the loss of the keke, you know that he's also A culprit. It's just like you have your phone. If somebody steals my phone now, all I need to do is to get back to MTN, alert them, or get to the police, alert them. When I alert them, any other person, even when you change my SIM card using another phone, using another SIM card, it will register that phone is working, and that is how they get these things.
Okay.
So the issue is this. Our problem is that we are always thinking of how to make money, not how to make people happy.
Can you just answer the question? If you, Uche Emeku, is to advise the government on how to checkmate tricycle operators, how to checkmate to know that he is real, he is not real, how do you think the state government should go about it?
Yes, what I would do, one, the keke operators have their management, either as a union or government-imposed union. I don't know the word.
Please, I'd just like you to go.
Good. Yes, I'm going straight to the point.
Not because you're trying to deviate to go to.
I'm not deviating. I am talking about an underlying problem concerning this keke management. Now, if I am to go into it, one, I am going to get the critical stakeholders. I will get the security men. I will get the keke management. The operatives. Some of the operatives who are very much enlightened, and I would like to have a complete and a comprehensive list of keke operators in every location. I will get that of Umuahia, I will get that of Aba, and then when anything happens, I will tell them that it is when anything happens, when their vehicle is used for any problem, that it is the management, and the management you see will be proactive. After all, they have men on the streets who collect their daily tolls, and the part of their job is also to.
No, please just.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I am giving you the gist of this thing. Even those who sell these tickets, because they write the number of the keke on the tickets they are selling to them, and so I should be able to get across to them, ask them, this number has operated this way. What do we do? After all, when you lose your vehicle, when any man loses his vehicle, and within a short time frame, and you alert the police traffic, what they will get that vehicle. And what it means is that vehicle will not go anywhere until now they go into, surveillance. They go into surveillance and reconnaissance mission. And then they will get, even if it is parked at any place. And of course, all I also need to do is to try to get the keke also, their number, into a system that will continue to monitor movements of this keke. It's technology.
Okay. I just hope the state government is also watching this program. And the question also that a lot of people have been asking is, you know that some of these tricycles are on hire purchase.
Yes.
And of course, the man needs to give something to the owner, either daily, monthly, or weekly. With these current situations, don't you think some of them will be going against the contracts? And what do you think the state government needs to do to alleviate the suffering of the tricycle operators and also the commuters, those waiting to get back home and find it difficult? Our cameraman Samuel was also on the street, and of course, I tell you, if you see those pictures, you would cry. A lot of people, pregnant, married women with children stranded on the road. Yes. But if you think the state governments need to alleviate the suffering, put in these suspension, talking about the restriction, what do you think the state government should be doing?
Yeah, well, I will start with the individual operator who has hired his keke. When you're going into a contract, you should also look at the fine lines and then know the implication of what you're going to do. And that you have signed a contract does not give you right to be unlawful in the street. You should also remember that there are others who uses the street. You should also remember that you need to be a good citizen, and that is for that individual. But for the government itself, what the government needs to do is to create a very conducive environment where every other person does his business in a way that will be very conducive. Because what you have in the keke team now, or the keke community, is that you have even PhD holders riding keke now. You have master degree holders riding keke. They cannot teach because there is no work. and those who are working are not paid, they are not paid. And when you open a very small place for you to do your business, all these tax will come there to lock up the place, giving you, outrageous bills that is not even in the distance. And if you still want to go to the court to defend this matter, the money you spend in the court is another thing, and the delays you also have. So what the government needs to do, one, is to create a conducive environment, ensure that the tax are no longer in the streets. I am not saying that the government should employ everybody, but create a conducive environment for people to be employed. And ensure that, and how does government do that? When you create that environment, and I am employing certain persons, you should also make me to pay tax, and also remit the tax of those paying under me, according to, according to what they have received, even from me. And when you do this, you do it in a very conducive environment. You find out that people will always, even the government will have less job to do. The government will not, their ears will not be bombarded with this kind of, talks. In different climes, you can't hear people talk about this thing because everything has been technologically arranged. And the people who are passionate about their job are also doing what they need to do. And what the government needs to do is to let the security agents know that they have a duty to protect people. I like what the IGP has said, the acting IGP has said the other day, that instead of the 12-hour shift, that it is not going to get back to the 8-hour shift. That is not enough. It is, they should also monitor those that they have, allowed to go even in the night to patrol. And they should also have phone calls that answers to distress. Not when they call you, you say there is no fuel in the vehicle. My vehicle has broken down. This and that. You continue to have excuses. Somebody say, where are they? When you talk about hoodlums or criminals or terrorists attacking you, say, where are they? Have gone left that place. And the only time they can come there is when those people have gone. Well, the government itself should equip the security agents so that they can take this thing frontally. Because I tell you, the security agents, they are doing this job they are doing at the risk of their own life. They are doing it at the risk of their own life. So you need to equip them very well, pay them very well, so that every other person can be secure. And that is what the government is there for. The government is not there for rich themselves, but to ensure that the people are happy. Because the Bible says, when the righteous is in authority, the people rejoices.
All right, when the righteous is on the throne, the people rejoice. That is coming from Uche Emeku. Okay, quickly, let's deviate a bit and also talk about what most people believe, that state governors are not just being sincere. Yeah. Talking about the minimum wage. It's no longer news that the president has signed in the 30,000 naira minimum wage. And of course, governors and other employers of labors have been advised to look into and pay the 30,000 naira minimum wage. The chairman of Nigerian Governors Forum, Abdulaziz Yari, said his colleague is in his response to the reports that asking them to pay 30,000 naira at this point might not be realistic. How sincere is this?
Yes, I don't think they are very sincere. Now, the government has signed 30,000 naira into law. Federal government into law. Mm-hmm. And the operative word there is the law, the act now. Mm-hmm. So it becomes criminal for you not to pay. So you don't even have an excuse in the first place. Because whatever excuse...
When you say, sorry, I'm going to be in touch.
Yes.
So I need you to put up this so those watching at home will understand and also be on the same level with us. When you say that it now becomes a law and the state government needs to pay. For example, if I'm asking you that everybody needs to bring a 1 million naira, and you know sincerely from the bottom of your heart you don't have the 1 million naira, and because it's mandatory, how do you go about it when you know you don't have the 1 million naira to give?
Yes.
So if state governors are saying, sorry, some of us are saying we can't pay the 30,000 naira minimum wage. Is that
good?
Is that wrong?
Yes. See, what the example you've given is a little out of it, because that is a promise, that is a donation, that is if you have. But the government is saying, they have looked into it. They said, the federal government, as the grandfather of the Nigerian political cycle, they said, look at what you are going to pay, because they have taken into cognizance the cost of living in Nigeria, the devaluation of the naira, inflationary rate, all those things, they have taken them into account. And the government has, from time to time, from Abuja, packaged certain amount of money to the state government. I think the last time they shared money, I think either 2018, as the records have it, you have 8 trillion naira being shared across.
That's true.
And then the state government and the local government receive 4.5 trillion of that money. And the government is saying, look at what you're going to pay to our people. They have taken cognizance also of the working population and the structure of this thing. That is from the managing director down to the cleaner to the gate man. They have looked at this thing and they said, look at what you're going to pay. It is not for you again, because this is a law. It is not for you again to decide to circumvent that law. And that is where I have problem with the immunity clause in our constitution. It should be removed so that any governor who refuses to pay will go to prison. And I want to tell you this. Why is it very difficult for governors to agree to pay 30,000 naira when the minimum among the states will pay 70,000 or 75,000 to their political aides, who are not even contributing anything? They don't add value to anything. I mean, some of their thoughts. I said it here last time. There was a state government that has 10,000, political advisors and political assistants. What is their duty? Can we really quantify what they have contributed to this thing? And then you look at also our lawmakers, the kind of money they go home with. You still need to look at those sides and begin to bring it down. I think those are the people, because we are talking about minimum. We are not talking about maximum here. And so you tell these people, look at what the issue is. Because I tell you, the funny aspect of this thing is that with implementation, those at grade level 17 will say you also make the difference, which is 12,000 naira for us. And it is, I know it is going to give them problems, but I think what the government needs to do is to sit down with technocrats, with stakeholders, critical stakeholders, and then come out with something concrete. It is criminal now for a governor not to pay.
Okay, I just need us to be realistic in our discussion. These are states, some states that have found it difficult to pay up 18,000 naira.
Yeah.
And that's what Abdulaziz Yari is saying.
Yes.
That he is not saying 30,000 naira is not a good thing. He's not saying 30,000 naira it's not affordable. But he's saying, look at my other colleagues.
Yes.
Some of us can afford to pay 18, and you're asking us to pay 30.
Yeah.
And he doesn't feel, as the chairman of the Governors Forum, that the 30,000 naira is achievable. But let us go quickly, and that brings us to the Paris Club reform. You and I were here when the bailout funds were given to some states, including our own state, Abia State. And of course, one of the reasons why for the Paris Fund Club was to help governors pay up arrears of salary. Yes. And that was what this present government did immediately it got into power. You and I know that even some states can afford to pay, even after giving the Paris bailout fund. And so what do you think? That governors could pay up 30,000 naira.
Yeah.
So far, Anambra is only the state in the east that has said we can pay, and of course recently we're hearing Enugu also saying that they can afford to pay 30,000 naira. What happens to other states?
Yeah.
Okay, before you answer that, we have a caller on the line. Hello, good morning, caller.
Hello, good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Dede SJ. It's nice to...
Good
Fine, thank
morning,
you.
sir.
Dede online.
Dede SJ, go ahead. You heard Uche Emeku.
A question before about Anambra.
Yes.
Anambra.
Yes, go ahead.
Just yesterday, the magic. The magic is it. That was the time Anambra was in a mess. We get something mess. I got my card for the ticket. In any form. Even
Okay. And let me ask you a question, and I need to get a sincere opinion. Sorry, a sincere response from these. Do you think Abia State, looking at other states, including Abia State that you reside, do you think the chairman of the Governors Forum, Abdulaziz Yari, that said that 30,000 is not reliable, is not achievable? Do you think he's been sincere with saying that we can't pay 30,000 naira? Do you think he's sincere with that?
He is not sincere.
So you think governors can pay 30,000 naira?
So many can pay this thing. So many states can pay it. With good arrangement.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Dede Ezeji. Dede Ezeji is a regular caller on this program, and Uche, you heard him.
Yeah.
He believes that the state governments, the state governors are not sincere if they say they would pay the 30,000 naira minimum wage. All right. Before the Ezeji's call, we're actually talking about the Paris fund bailouts reform. Let's see who the caller on the line is. Good morning. It's nice to have you on the breakfast program. Hello? Hello?
Good morning.
Good morning. Please, can you speak up a bit so we can hear you? Good morning, ma. You're welcome to the program. Your name and where you're calling us from. All right, we've lost that. So let's talk about the Paris Club refund. You and I know that the main reason for the bailout fund was to pay arrears of unpaid salaries. And you and I know that even up to date, some states couldn't even afford to pay the salaries, despite the fact that the money was given. So just hold on to your thoughts, sir. Let's see who the caller on the line is. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. It's nice to have you, Mark. Please, can you just tell us your name and where you're calling us from?
I'm Daniel Sinanya from Abia.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Hello? Ma, please, you want to call us back? Yeah, quickly, just let's say your response to this.
Yes, you see, one of the things how we can get about, checking the transparency of the disbursement of that money by the states. One of those things we need to do is for them to submit their list. And then let us see the salary structures, how they paid, what they paid to each one. And then we also take, we'll also do a questionnaire either by face-to-face interview or by written these things to some of the workers whose name has appeared, whether they did collect the actual amount ascribed against their names. That is one. Number two, you also need to revisit the issue of code of conduct. What did the governors, did they sign, their political appointees, did they sign, did they make their decision? You now use it to check again what they now own as against what they are earning. In fact, by the grace of God, I think I like what is happening to Onoge now, because after him, other heads will roll. And so these are some of the things, because it is not enough for you to tell us that you have paid without showing evidence, transparent evidence of payment of the utilization of such funds for these things. And then, like I said, you also need to remove immunity from the governor, so that when you remove immunity, when a governor sees that it is easier for him to get to prison than any other way, he will not begin to stand up to do what he's supposed to do. Okay, to do what he's supposed to do. That is coming from Uche Emeku. Okay, let's see who the caller on the line is. Good morning, caller. Hello?
Hello.
Good morning, sir. You're welcome to the breakfast program. Can you quickly tell us your name and where you're calling us from, sir?
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Tell us your name and where you're calling us from, sir.
I'm Mr. Kichpet. I'm calling from Cinema Saba.
Mr. Okechukwu.
Good morning to your guest in the studio, Mr. Etienne.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
You always put my mind whenever you're talking.
He's the sniffer. They call him the sniffer.
Thank you.
I want to add my weight on the.
Please go ahead. Feel free.
This morning.
Please go ahead.
Concerning the day of Pretos in Abia State. Well, I'm not one of them, but let us not generalize that all the people of Pretos are bad. We have some good elements among them.
That's true.
And we also have some good drivers among them. And we also have some reckless drivers among them.
That's true.
But the matter is that those people have unions. And they are not allowed to select or choose the person that will govern them. Or they were, all those things they were imposed on them. Nobody said nothing. Let us not generalize everything concerning the KK. What about the security apparatus in Abia? For instance, if you are driving from Ochioma to Tonimau, there was a taking point at Umojima Junction. What they normally do, even though you carry cocaine in that ticket, they don't care. As far as you get them that 15 naira, they will allow you go. If we are talking about the ticket, what about the security? Who is meant to segment? That taking point that does not care whatever you carry. As far as you get them that 15 naira. Another one, when this ticket ban was lifted last year, before the election, or this year, I told them this is a policy. There is politics in this, banding this ticket now. From 7 o'clock, if you are apprehended, you are gone. Before the election, you know this ban was lifted. To use them to run for election. To use them to campaign for election. Let us tell ourselves the truth. After they might have voted, you now ban them. Knowing fully well that there is no IT that can carry people along. For instance, around 5 o'clock when I are closed, come out and see what is happening. There is no vehicle that can take people to their various roads. Okay, what about the state government sites that they are brought in last year? What are they? On the issue of let me also throw my weight on the issue of the new minimum wage. Let us be sincere. There is no any state in Nigeria that cannot be able to pay after 30,000 naira minimum wage. Every state in Nigeria are blessed with their own mineral resources. There is no state in Nigeria, if they manage their IGR very well, every state will pay. If the state governments can reduce their SSG, they can pay. Imagine this land, imagine this past 3 months. Only have their state have over 4,000 something PS. They were called SS to the governor on grassroots mobilization. What are they doing? Most of them we are paying 50,000. Most of them we are paying 70,000. That is not an allegation. It's true. I have many of them. Roaming on the streets, doing nothing. They are saying their mobilization. They are mobilizing. What are they mobilizing for? So we don't have many workers. We have up to 22 or 23,000 workers. They are not telling me the federal government are giving balance funds, giving money to the fund. The federal government is sharing the money, both state and local government.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Eze, for your input, and I'm very sure that those in authority are watching, and be rest assured that come Tuesday, the Commissioner for Information, John Oki, will be here, and please, we would like you to also stay tuned on when he will be around so you can throw some of those questions directly at him. We go for a break, and when we come back, the program Good Morning Abia continues. Please do stay with us.
One-stop breakfast show on TV. Good Morning Abia, your one-stop breakfast show on TV.
Do not deface Abia State with posters. Do not defecate on our streets.
Good Morning Abia, your one-stop breakfast show on TV.
Welcome back, and if you're just joining us, this is still Good Morning Abia, your breakfast program on TV, and of course we'll be talking to Uche Emeku on the state of the nation. Yes, Uche, before we went on that break, we're actually talking about the bailout fund that was given by the federal government, and of course even governors are still finding it very difficult to pay up the 30,000 naira, sorry, the 18,000 naira with the bailout fund. So what happens with the 30,000 naira?
Yeah, the only thing that what happens here is that I said, sometimes workers need to understand what they stand to gain if they follow the law. If a governor says he's not paying 30,000 naira, the law is there. There is, the law has criminalized the issue of non-payment. Even when you employ me and I agree that I'm going to take 10,000 naira. But when I come, my pay slip has to show that it is 30,000 naira, and I have to agree that that is what it is. That is the only way to go in this thing. And like I said, what also needed to be done is that the Code of Conduct Bureau now should now make public to us what these governors have declared when they went into this thing. I like what Serap is doing now, that they have now applied that they should be given to, a Code of Conduct Bureau. Because we need to really come together to ask our leaders for accountability. They have to show us, we still worship, so that we will know if the thing is not there. All of us will know it is not there.
Are you also advocating as a woman rights activist and a political analyst that you one of those voices that have advocated that state governments, that federal government should stop giving allocation to states?
Yes. Yes, of course. That has to do with restructuring now. You have to go back to the Constitution.
Are you among those voices?
Yes, I'm among the voices that say
Why
that.
do you?
Yes.
What's the reason?
The reason now is this. When nobody operates a baggage economy. Every month you carry your bag to Abuja. Something, ration is put there, you come home. No, it is now the states in control of the resources, and then pay certain amount like it was in the First Republic when we were running the parliamentary system. I tell you, if we were doing this kind of thing, the level of banditry that is going on in Zamfara State would not have been there. Because it is...
So state government should have taken sole responsibility?
Of course, they should take sole responsibility and then pay certain amount of money. Royalties to the federal government, where federal government will make this. When you do that, you find out that even the agitation, like in the Niger Delta, that is going on will not be there, because the Niger Deltans are agitating resources control. Let us control what comes from our land and then pay our tax.
If the state government doesn't take money from the center, what say does the federal government has towards its states, knowing fully
even in America,
knowing fully that your input is not being felt by my people. So why should I take directive from the center?
No. The Constitution makes it. In fact, in the First Republic, what you have is that the various components, the northern region, the southern region, and all the rest of them, where now there is a certain amount of money that they pay to the center.
We have a caller on the line. Hello, good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. It's nice to have you on the breakfast program this morning. Can you tell us your name and where you're calling?
My name is Kenneth. I'm calling from Abia.
All right, Mr. Kenneth, go ahead. What's the take on the discussion this morning?
Yes, I want us to encourage ourselves. Because in Nigeria, we are thinking that government can do this for us. I want to give us instance with America. In the United States of America, California State is the largest economy in the world, not even in America. And the workers, queue up at what the state can afford to give them, and not what their demands are. So we should encourage our workers to be productive in the first place. And if there is economic crisis that we're facing Nigeria today, workers will be refreshed, and so that people will now gear up and know that the rate of growth. That's my concept of it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You heard him.
Yeah.
And I think what he's saying is we also need to imbibe the culture. It's not what the state or what the federal government can do for us as a person, but what we also can do for the states, ourselves, and also for the states. And so I think that's also the way to go. It takes two to tango.
Yeah.
The federal government and the state government has a role to play.
But there is,
and also we also have.
There is something underlining what he has said.
You mean the lacuna?
Yes, there is something. Now, if the government goes to Abuja to bring in their baggage, they come in here and begin to distribute to their accolades. They begin to distribute to their people. And then you now make the environment very acidic for the private businessman to triumph or to even improve his welfare. How is it going to be? That is the problem. But what he is saying is this, that it is like just saying restructuring by the back door. When you restructure and we bring what we have to the states, we are able now to, use our energy. But in this case, you stay in the house. You don't do anything.
I'll tell you what
they give you money.
I'll tell you what the emir of Kano, I'm talking about the former CBN governor Sanusi, said that if you ask him, his advice and take is that the 30,000 naira is achievable. The first and foremost, he said that the state governors need to cut off the salaries, that of the commissioners, that of the state government, that of the representatives of senators and house members, talking about the federal house members. If they cut all these, and also that the governors is giving some certain money for their personal use. If you put that all together and give it to your people working for you, that will be sacrifice, and that will be the way to go. Do you think that's a good advice?
Of course, that's what I said.
And do you think state governors, senators, those representing the different constituencies and local government chairman will sacrifice and say, this is my quota, this is my own tithe to my people? Do you think that's achievable?
Yes. In fact, that was my opening statement on this issue.
Do you see governors taking that route?
Yes, the governors may not like it, but the sovereignty remains with the people. That is until the people begin to... But let me tell you, until the people begin to realize that this power is resident upon them, and that they have only given it to the governors, to the house members, on trust. You could ask them. I said it, when you, like a senator here, earn 15 million naira.
25.
A month. The House of Rep member takes 12 million a month. And in a year, you have 180 million. You have 144 million. The President of America takes 91 million a year. And these people are even productive, more than us. They think, what they look at is how to make America better. Let me tell you, until the people begin to rise. But my problem here is that ethnicity has killed Nigeria. Tribal sentiment, religiosity has also done a lot of harm. What it takes is for the people to agree.
When you talk about religion, tribal sentiment, I will quickly want to react to what somebody pasted on my Instagram page, and he says, without religion in Nigeria, that Nigeria would have been better.
Yes.
Do you agree with that? Do you think our greatest problem could be rooted back to religion?
Yes, because the Nigerian state has elevated religion to that level. That is the problem.
Just hold on and let's see who the next. Good morning, sir. It's nice to have you on the breakfast program this morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir. You're welcome. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
My name is Abia. I'm calling from Abia.
All right, go ahead, sir. What's your take?
Okay, my say is that the government of Abia State is not really doing anything.
Why do you say
that? It's not an institution to our problem here. Because look at this the thing is sort of becoming unbearable for every man living in the United States. Look at the little movement that we have. Government have already gone to 7 o'clock. We have to 7 o'clock that people now find the thing that they do. Well, a lot of people that do this man, a lot of people that do other jobs, they do in the daily basis, use that to feed their family. Sometimes they start from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock to find their stomach. Well, right now.
But let me ask you. Let me ask you a question, Kenneth. Let me ask you a question, and please, for time's sake, I'd like you to quickly give me the answer to the question. Just straight to the question, to the answer.
I can't hear you. What did you say?
I said, let me ask you a question. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
If suspending or restricted 3 cycles as keke operators for 7 p.m. is the price that you and I need to pay to stay safe, is that too much for us to give?
I didn't get it proper. But I may be right to say that if what you're trying to ask me is paying price of stopping people from 7 o'clock p.m.
Yeah,
to 9 o'clock is equal to what is happening in the United States.
Yeah.
I thought he got the problem. Okay, so
no, what I'm saying is if that is the sacrifice. All right, Kenneth, sorry for time's sake. Let's quickly just ask.
Let me answer this one. You see, Mike, let me tell you, if somebody tells you not to go to work and earn your living, would that be a sacrifice? Will you want to do that sacrifice? I want to tell you, we want our leaders to first of all show us the way. In Tanzania.
Okay, just hang on, Uchemeko. Let's quickly hear what the callers are saying this morning. Hello, good morning. Quickly, you're the last caller for today. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from, sir.
Hello.
Good morning, sir. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
Your name and where you're calling us from. Yes, go ahead.
My name is from Abia.
Go ahead, sir.
Hello.
Go ahead. We can hear you. All right, sorry, Mr. Underbisi. Please do call us back. All right.
So how would you want me to sacrifice my means of livelihood because you want me to be alive? A man that is alive is the man that needs security, not a dead man. And we want our leaders also to sacrifice. Let those who take 18 million, let those who take 1 million, let them also reduce something so that there will be a redistribution of income.
Okay. All right. This is how far we can go. Which hopefully we can talk about these on Monday, and hoping that when we extend our invitation that you would like to be here with us on this program.
God's willing, and if I'm alive.
Definitely you will be alive. All right. This is how far we can go into this program. My name is Michael Ofonia. Please do stay tuned for the next program, How to Eat with Sachindu Olwa. Thank you very much.
MCL, the word in your home.